Men are really upset at women. They're very upset at the power that they have and how they're using their power. And they derive a certain kind of pleasure to speak that they're going to crash in a fucking wall and be annihilated. It gives them a feeling of like it's going to be your payback for the pain you've given me. On the one hand, they say this is how it is, this is nature, but on another hand, it clearly shows that they're hurting. And all in all, I feel that there's something in the so-called manosphere that is dishonest. You got a bunch of guys and they are, in my opinion, mostly hurt. Some manage, some adapt, some compensate, some find a way to make it work for themselves. But at a deeper level, they're wounded, naturally and honestly. It's fair. It's not a problem, but it's the case. So yeah, they got a thing for the woman hitting a wall, and there's something about it I totally understand. How can you not understand? I've witnessed it. I've seen it. I'm seeing it. I've been with women for many years, and you see them evolve. And so I know what they're saying. But it's always things are always at the surface. Their whole lives are surface lives, and the women that they're engaged with, for the most part, are also surface folks. And life at the surface is shallow. There's not much to it. You're young, you get old, you die. There's no real meaning, no real purpose besides the one that you invent yourself, if you're able to do that. So, but when you step back for 2 seconds and let's say you expand your horizons and you just ask yourself a question, you're like, really? So you're God. If you don't like God, you're the supreme intelligence of nature that is able to create this whole world in which we live, which is so perfect nobody can fathom it or understand it. Okay? And then you create a species, which is called the man and the woman. And then you make sure that the woman, by the age of, let's say, 27, 28, crashes in a wall. And after this is worth nothing. So geeks would argue this is not exactly what they mean. I'm like, no, I know that's not exactly what you mean, but that's what you're trying to say. And all the emphasis is laid on a woman's appearance and youth. Again, I insist, it's not I don't understand what they're saying. I absolutely understand what they're saying. Everybody understands. It's not the point. The point is, that's not what life is about. There's more to life than youth. But in the world we live in, and in the way we age, youth is the only thing we need or want. Because after youth, even though you try to pretend that there's something else, all you're trying to do is get back to youth. So that's the only thing that really has value. So it's a little ironic. We can break it down in so many ways, but I witnessed this. And I insist, I get it. But it's like, no, something's weird about this. Like, you mean to say that this person is worthless because her ass is not as firm as when she was 18? You mean to say that the only value of a woman is her waning youth? That's it? Like, so you get it, you already know it's waning. So that's it, that's all it's worth. Firmness of tits and firmness of ass and skin with collagen. Like, what am I going to say? This is so immature, it's ridiculous. And the fact that you say that with no shame in your surface reality makes you look like a fool. The only reason this passes is because you're surrounded by fools and the other men around you are as foolish, as immature, and their understanding of life, manhood with a capital M and womanhood with a capital W is so shallow. And it only works because you live in society where women don't know who they are, they don't know their value, and they're so confused they're trying to be psychotic men. And that media and culture promotes this. Today I was at the barber. I'm not 100% satisfied with the beard, but so at the barber, the barber is, right? So he has his TV, which I can see through the mirror, with these rappers and these morons making noises. So now, I can't help myself but see what's in the mirror in front of me as I'm looking at myself. And I notice who's stepping on the scene in the video, of course. J-Lo, right? Everybody knows J-Lo. I don't know how old J-Lo is, but she's got to be about 47, 50, something like this. And she's dressed if she was an 18, 16, 17-year-old skank. So I'm watching this through the mirror. And this is not a surprise, but I don't watch TV nor none of that bullshit. So it's like, my barber is 24 and he's observing this. And just before, there was another video. I had never seen such filth in my life. It was a twerk video. But like the level of raunchiness was a whole other level. It's like I don't even know where to look now. It's like so vulgar, it's so disgusting, it's so violent. It's such a form of violation. Anyways, so the point of what I'm trying to say, because it wasn't to talk about the twerk, it's to bring up J-Lo. I'm like, you're 47. I don't know how old she is, all right? Let's say she's 47. And you're dressed. First of all, I don't know why a 15-year-old, 16-year-old, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, I don't know why anyone would dress like that. But let's pretend I understand because it's part of culture and there's a fashion aspect to it. Let's pretend I understand, okay? Why would a 47-year-old woman want to dress and look like that? Because she wants, first, that we say, oh wow, she's so young and still looks amazing. Number one. Number two, she's now trying to show little girls that Jenny from the block is still there, and if you fuck with her, she'll annihilate you and she can steal your boyfriend. We can go through a whole list of why she's doing, which was not the point of the conversation. But I'm watching this, right? I'm like, first of all, it's disgusting. Second of all, this is a woman. This is a grown woman. So if I'm a young girl and I'm watching this, let's pretend I resonate with the little young girls. Because the fact that a young woman resonates with sluttiness, she's already sick. And now she sees a grown woman, probably the age of her mom, who's behaving like a teenage girl. And this is a sick teenage girl. This just needs to be clear because there's too much to say about this, okay? So what's she thinking in her mind? Let's say she says, wow, J-Lo looks good. First of all, it's TV and it's all made up. Number one, we're at like, I don't know how many numbers. And in her mind, she's like, I wish one day I'm going to be old and look like that, which is not going to happen. And also, what's the overall lesson? That's what you're worth. That's where your power is. So your power is not even sexual power because nobody knows what sexuality is, or very few people know what it is. It's whoreness and suck. How to suck. How to suck. That's your power. And that if you're old, you still can suck, but wait, I can suck better than you. And then you have all these idiot, pathetic, worthless young men and men in their 20s. So dumb, so smoked up, half drunk, and jacked off because they masturbate so much. Just dumb. Now they're looking at J-Lo in the video, which is going to create an effect. Wow, she's hot. I want to fuck her. Next time he wants to watch porn, he's going to look for a girl who looks like her. This is the culture, and this is what they're educating people. This is what they're showing women. This is what they're showing men. But stop a minute, take a step back and put this aside. I'm like, is that it? If I'm a young woman and I have a little bit of brain, right? I'm like, is that all there is? I'm an ass and tits, yet I'm an ass and tits and there's nothing I can do to stop the fact that there's an aging process. Is that all there is? Is that the only value that I have? Now, of course, you're going to have other girls who are going to pretend that doesn't exist and say, I'm going to build my mind and intellect and be a psychotic man in the social system and corporate America or whatever that is. As if that's so amazing also. And then there's the super ones who are going to be two at the same time, right? They're going to be amazing, sexy, and all this, plus amazing in their business. I don't know, man. I find it sad. That's all I got to say about that. This is sad to see. It's sad to see women put themselves through this. It's sad to see men being so fucking stupid to think that that's all there is to it. Am I trying to remove that youth is beauty? Of course, youth is beauty. That's youth. But beauty is coherence. So beauty isn't bound to time in the sense that it's not because you're 16 you're pretty and when you're 60 you're ugly. That's bullshit. If my definition is correct, which it is, because beauty is not limited to your youth. There's a particular kind of beauty when you're young. Yeah, obviously, who can argue with this? This is non-negotiable. Once I was talking to a friend of mine, she's here, she can't see her. We were speaking about a rose, and there was some person gave me a rose, and the rose, I just left it there for a minute. And a couple of minutes later, it's not the rose anymore, it's a dead rose. And I said, look how pretty it is, isn't it? It's gorgeous. How could you argue that it's not pretty? It's beautiful. You can look at it for hours. I said, you see, this is nature and this is beauty. Of course, when it's young and all like effervescent, it's gorgeous. Yeah, but now it's technically dead, yet it still is beautiful. There's a coherence. The colors are amazing. You couldn't have that if it was alive. The texture is different and it expresses something so differently, but it's marvelously beautiful. So beauty wasn't limited to the fact that it was young. Can you compare a living rose to a dead rose? You cannot. Can you say that the dead rose is ugly? You cannot. So somehow there's a confusion in the minds of people, and more importantly, and that confusion is not, there's a confusion, but that confusion is instigated by a phenomenon that we see, is that aging women are ugly. We cannot remove that, or not systematically, but they're ugly. They don't have any authority. They stink. They have lots of ugly makeup. They're unhealthy. That's what I'm trying to get at. So there's something that's incoherent within themselves, and then they're ugly. There's nothing beautiful about her. I'm sorry, I'm being a little harsh, but you'll know exactly what I mean. So it's not false for them to say that all there is youth, because when they see a grown woman or a mature woman, it's ugly. I'm like, yes, so that's what they think. But I'm like, nah, that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not what health does. When you're healthy, there's an alignment, there's a coherence. You're living at the right moment, and you're at where you're at. And if there's an alignment, there's energy circulating and a glow that comes out. So there's beauty. Can you compare the beauty of a healthy 50-year-old, 40-year-old, 30-year-old, 20-year-old to a 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old? Of course not. They're not at all at the same stages of life. When I look back at pictures of myself, when I was, let's say, in my early 20s, I'm like, damn, too bad I didn't understand how handsome I was, because in my mind, of course, I was not good enough. But I would never want to go back to that time. I've lived it. I've lived what it is to be in that youth. You're youthful, your body is youthful, but you're also dumb. And that makes you also ugly. It's not ugly because you're young, you're not supposed to be so smart, you don't have a lot of experience, so you have that youthful glow. Would I want to go back then? I'm like, never. I'd rather die. I lived it. And sometimes I wish I would have had a better youth, in the sense that I would have a proper education. I wouldn't waste my time and energy doing stupid things, and would have wasted that youth and would have used it more efficiently. I did it okay for myself, but there was a lot of wasted. But that's what it can live. There's limits. Then I got into my mid-20s. It's another phase. And in my 30s, and the late 30s. And now I'm entering a new phase of my life. Welcome. And I have a new style and a new form of beauty and a new kind of glow. Can I compare it to when I was 20? I'm like, no. Well, am I better looking today? In my opinion, I am. Much better, actually, because I'm more coherent. But maybe not everybody will see that, but I do. That's what counts to me. So in my mind, in my own being, I haven't become less pretty. I'm more beautiful. I'm more full. I'm more full of myself in a non-egotistical way. Like I'm more full than when I was 35, 41, 28. So for me, I'm more pretty. When I look at myself, I'm more appealing to myself. I find myself more full. So if you understand what I mean. So that's because on my path, that's the health path, where you're building your health all your life, every day until your very last breath. You're always maintaining coherence and expressing that life force through you and through your specific function at that time. If I looked, when I was in my 20s, I used to speak kind of like I do today, with much less experience, and I was not as good with words, but I was always slick with my mouth. I got a big mouth, I talk well. And nobody would listen to me. Because I'm young, everybody look at me and say, what do you know? You're a kid. And at some point I had dreads. I looked great. I had real dreads. Let's not get into that. That's another subject for another time. Nobody takes you seriously. Like, why am I listening to you? You're like 27. I'm going to listen to this Indian sage who's like 78. I'm like, no. Nobody wanted to give me the time of day. So that's youth. There's something missing, even though there was a form of wisdom. As you grow and you gain maturity with experience, your beauty unfolds. But I do not look like it in my 20s, and thank God. I look like a grown, mature man. Because now I have another role to play. So I look the part. So when you understand this, you understand that every phase of your life, it's like a movie. It's the movie of your life, and you have different parts to play. This is that part, that scene. And when you play it and you live it fully, well, I've done this. I don't want to play that movie scene again. We've done it. So I'm moved to the next scene. And the next scene, well, you're more full, meaning more mature. And then you play that scene and you meet different characters in that scene. I've lived it. I finished this. Move on to the next scene. I don't want to go back here. I don't want to go back to when I was a teenager and go hang out with stupid teenage girls that have nothing to say and are so self-conscious. It's intolerable. No, I don't ever want to go back. I don't want to go back in my 20s with the stupidity of the 20-year-olds and their like supreme ambitious eclosion of silliness and everyone's going to do everything. It's like, you're not going to do fuck all. I don't want to be in that puddle of just like, I don't want to be there for anything in the world. And I don't want to meet one of those girls. I'm like, no, just. I don't want to go back. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So I like the part I'm coming into. I like the role I got to play because I've played the other roles and I've enjoyed it for what it was worth. And I like it now better because it's a build-up. So this is me, my example as a man. We go back to the woman's example and say, okay, so how come that phenomenon is not existing with women? Well, that's what I'm trying to say. It does. Except something is lost, and that's what I'm trying to communicate. It's like people don't understand what actual health is. All they're concerned when we talk about health is external appearance. So you do fitness, which is going to stimulate basic circulation. If you push it a little hard, it's going to do a little deeper, but that's it. It doesn't actually relieve you of your tensions that are connected to your body and your mind. It doesn't relieve your psyche of your anxieties. It just allows you to exude stress. Fine, it's better than nothing, but that's not health. It's not deep health. It doesn't allow you to find an alignment. Well, that's not true when I jog. It's like a meditation. I'm like, yeah, I get you. It's at the surface, okay? There's a whole other level to it. People are then concerned with specific diets that don't actually nourish at the deepest level your body. Just the surface, so it kind of has a feeling of glow or agility or strength. It doesn't actually really nourish you because your digestive system doesn't actually even work properly, that is. So everything is always based about the surface, and you have now, let's say, a 45-year-old who's trying to look like she's 18 or 22. Now, maybe she's doing a good job at quote-unquote preserving her youth, but something looks weird when you look at her because it doesn't exude maturity. It doesn't exude a new kind of power. You know what she looks like? She looks like an old witch dressed in the body of a young girl. She scares me. That's what it looks like. Because there's no real wisdom that is there. There's just a person who's mastered the art of sucking and has somehow, through casting spells, maintained her quote-unquote youthful appearance. But if you really look beneath the surface, it doesn't look youthful. That's what it looks like. She's not really poised. She's not really integrated. She's not really calm and found some kind of equipoise. She doesn't have actual understanding of what life is about. She doesn't better understand her femininity. She may be understanding better whoreness, but she doesn't necessarily really understand what the power of a woman is. And more importantly than that, she's not actually contributing. Like, how's a society, an organic society, organized, and how does it function? Well, men grow into men, then help young men become men, and help run an organized society and solve problems. Women on their side do the same. Women grow into women, help younger women, and become powerful, competent mothers, or whatever other functions the women will fulfill. Look at the world we live in. Older women are trying to crush young women because they're intimidated and they don't want to lose their place. So the young women, when they look at the older woman, they see an old woman who's no longer young. They don't see the power and the wisdom and the knowledge. They don't see something that inspires them. They see something that, like, get out of the way, you're disgusting, and your time is over. Well, it's not because they're wrong. It's because that so-called mature woman isn't mature. She's just an old witch dressed, maybe, if she's lucky, like a young woman. There's nothing inspiring about this. Why would I want to grow into a woman, or older woman? Why would I want to be a grandmother? If grandmother looks like this little thing, this hunchback with this ugly hair, and it's disgusting. Why would I want as a young woman to ever become like that? I'm going to lose my youth to become grand, ugly, disgusting mother and then pretend that grandmother is not ugly and disgusting? Get the fuck out of here. Of course she doesn't want to do that. Nobody does. And you mean to tell me that, come on, ugliness is ugliness and it got nothing to do with age. That's what I'm trying to say. So it shows that something's off. And I find it strange that with all this feminist nonsense, nobody stops 2 seconds and wonders, why are you trying to convince us that an old, ugly woman is not old and ugly? She is. So let's cut the crap. But doesn't that show that something's strange or problematic or there's a disalignment, that that's the case? Why would nature be so cruel, as the manospherian cats would say? Nature is going to punish you now because you whatever, right? I'm like, nah, I don't buy that. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was working in a hospital years ago, I'll never forget that. Never forget that. I don't know, I don't know what department I was working in. It was a particular evening, and I was an orderly, meaning cleaning up shit and literally, and helping patients at the basic level. I remember this because I met this, so there was a woman with, I don't know who it was, her father or her husband, it doesn't matter. But from my point of view, I was in my early 20s and she was at least 60 years old, right? And I remember seeing her, I'm like, wow, she's so beautiful. And I was stunned, right? Because first of all, I'd never seen an old woman that was beautiful, not like that. She didn't look like a fucking stripper. She didn't look like an ex-model. She was just beautiful. There was nothing, she didn't have like, her hair was not colored, it was silver. So maybe there was silver highlights, but I remember this vividly. I'm like, wow, and I was checking her ass. It didn't look like an 18, 20, or 25-year-old's ass, but all of her was beautiful. And I could feel her, and she could definitely feel me, no doubt. No, but it wasn't just because I was me. There's more to my character than the surface. And at the time, let's not forget, I was meditating multiple hours a day. I still do, but that was part of my aura. And mature women can feel things at a more subtle level. Not all, but a lot. So there was a connection. The point was she was beautiful. And I remember the effect that it had on me because I had never come across something like this. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, so that's what it's supposed to look like. Well, if I'm a young woman and I get to look like that, and then I'm a grandmother, not in the sense that my children have children. I'm talking about grandmother in the sense as I'm a big mother, like the chef of women. That's what a grandmother is for me. So young women are supposed to be run by mothers, and mothers are supposed to be run by grandmothers. So that's a manufacture of pussy, of wombs. That's how you grow wombs into powerful industries to give birth to gods and aligned, healthy worlds. Imagine now you're a grandmother. You're like the chef. You are the boss of pussy. Now that's what it's supposed to be. You have people, grown-ass women who want to be like, I'm not going to name her name, who are at the head of hedge funds that run billions of dollars, right? And she wants to have a sense of power in that position and helps raise capital by investing in Ethereum and Bitcoin, Ethereum to 168K, whatever the fuck it is, right? And I understand what she's doing, respect, I ain't got nothing to say about her. But who cares? First of all, it's nonsense. All of it is junk. It doesn't mean anything. It's an illusion. And it's building Web3. Who fucking cares at the end of the day? Versus, let's say that we lived in a parallel universe where shit is aligned. She's running the industry of pussy, of wombs. She makes sure that from the top to the bottom, wombs are healthy, aligned, proper. That they're able to be birthing young gods, young goddesses, and to make sure that whatever is created creates a decent, healthy, sane society. And then she's, of course, going to work in collaboration with the crew of men who have their own grandfathers, that means the elders, so that there's an alignment when there's an issue on one side or the other and they can discuss and they're taking care. That's how, now you're running society as it should be. Not a little grown woman who's like half dead or is trying to pretend she's 26 competing with an 18-year-old, trying to still maintain the sex of her 55-year-old husband. I'm like, get the hell out of you. You're 60. What are you doing? There's a phase for everything. So what am I saying? I'm saying youth represents power. It's a form of power, but it's not the only form of power. As youth, quote unquote, wanes, it's because it's giving birth to something else, which if it's aligned and you have access to it, gives you more power. But of course, this is not understood. Nobody speaks about this. And all you have are a bunch of women confused, trying to maintain their youth for eternity, which is never going to happen. I don't even know how they do it. They create all this like face pulling, and I'm like, they must be really ugly. Like their face has to be really exhausted for them to like want to do all this. I'm like, it's hideous. And I don't know how they live with this, knowing, I'm like, well, how do you feel when you look at yourself in the mirror? Now, I don't want to judge. All I'm trying to say is like, imagine you're a kid and you see that. Like every kid knows what ugly is and what stench smells like. So you're a little kid. I remember being a little kid not liking adults because they stink, because they're ugly. And now you're a little kid and you see like, all right? Post-surgery mom. Like, that's traumatizing. You don't realize how sensitive kids are. And you're like, I don't want to ever grow up and be that. So anyways, back to what we were originally saying, which was speaking about the manospherian dudes and their concepts of hitting a wall and their fetish of women hitting the wall. What first thing we said is like, clearly they have an issue. It's obvious. Second, but also they're just speaking from their perspective and they're just narrating what they see. They don't see underneath, right? And their imagination doesn't go there. So what they're saying is not false. It's like, well, listen, you're hot for a couple of minutes. You get as much as you can, and it starts to wane pretty fast. And before you know it, you're hitting the wall, meaning, well, that youthfulness. It's not that the girl who's 28 is not beautiful. She is, but technically, if you compare youth versus youth, and all you care about is tits, well, the younger one is technically prettier. In my opinion, she's not. It's a different kind of prettiness. A young woman is very beautiful, and a more mature woman is, if she's healthy, is also very beautiful. It's just not comparable. It's like you cannot compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James. You cannot compare the beauty of a more mature woman to a younger woman. That's presuming that there's a form of health. So I understand what these guys are saying. But once again, as usual, everything is shallow and there's no inquisitiveness into the nature of things. They don't fucking care. They just want to get laid. So if I'm a woman, and I observe the condition of women, well, either you're going to get nervous and want to try to maintain your eternal youth forever and you're going to J-Lo shit, which makes you just look ridiculous in my opinion. You like, imagine that's your mom. Like imagine you're Madonna's daughter. Lourde, which means in French heavy. She heavy. Right? But they say lourdes, which may mean something else. The point is, imagine that's your mom. Like, she's not going to tell her mom, you're like disgusting. But mom is disgusting. And then she's like, I don't know, 70? I don't know if I think she's 70, 60 something, at least 60. And she dating a 22, 25-year-old dude. Like, first of all, what kind of idiot? Like, it's Madonna, I guess he gets some, I don't know. Like, like, come on, dude. If you're a grown woman, he's food. Can we agree? Every fucking ounce of his semen is giving her a little bit of youth back. This is easy. Okay. But imagine you're a grown woman and you're hanging out with a 22-year-old or 25-year-old. Like, Madonna's pretty much seen everything and she's hanging out with a boy. How is it that as a woman, she can find any kind of satisfaction hanging out with a boy, a dancer? Like what? Like I don't get it. So that's what life is. So Madonna's amazing. I don't want to disrespect Madonna. I'm just saying that's life. Madonna's amazing. She's free-spirited. Once again, she proves to us that age is only a concept. No, fuckers. Age is not a fucking concept. It's a fucking reality. It's a biological reality. And time, there's different seasons for everything. So when it's the winter, you should be in the winter phase of your life. You shouldn't be in a bikini. You should enjoy the winter. We in winter now in Canada, and I love the winter. Because it's great. You don't go outside unnecessarily. There's not noise unnecessary. You focus, you're in your zone, you don't have 1,001 distractions, and you can just do what counts. That's the winter time. You do only the essential. So the winter of one's life should also be that. You focus only on the essential, which is what? Know thyself and your inner connection, because not everything else has been done. There's nothing else. So she's, I don't know if she's in the winter of her life, but she's coming there, right? 75 is the winter of your life. And here she is trying to be like she's in her prime fertility. Like, how boring it must be for her. How many cocks has this woman sucked in her life? And here she is behaving at the age of 70 or 67. I'm sorry, madam, I don't know your age. I don't remember, but you're older than me, at least 15 years. And here you are still doing the same things you were doing when you were 20, 25, 30, 34, 35, ever since her whole life. Eh? What is that? And that's the role model that young women have. Because she's this hideous creature. I'm sorry, lady, you've become hideous. And she's hanging out with this, I don't know his name, I forget his name, is like the fucking Latino star with 1 billion followers. I'll send you the picture of that fucker with his red suit. A little handsome, gay-looking fellow, right? Something. Massimo. What's his fucking name, this dude? Mazloom. Anyways, the point of what I'm trying. So imagine you're a little girl and your deepest fetish is to fuck this little Mazloom, okay? And you see old ass Madonna hanging out with him and like giving him a kiss. Right? So this is the game Madonna's hustling. So again, all I'm trying to say is that there's something wrong. And people are either too busy or dumb, or a combination of both, to step back and just wonder. But of course, this leads or points towards a very deep, profound issue. We've covered this before. Nobody wants to look into this, or very few people. So what we have in return is a culture of women hitting a wall, losing, quote unquote, their value, because they've never cultivated their real value. Every passing moment, as their youth wanes, they lose more and more value and become more and more worthless. Now, of course, the feminists are going to say, fuck all of this. We have our intelligence. We're intelligent. I'm sorry, with all due respect, it's not because you read a couple of books and you know how to solve social, corporate problems that you have actually any wisdom. You have no real wisdom about life, nature, the nature of existence. None of the things that actually matter you know about. So maybe your brain understands how you can invest in stocks. Good. I don't want to minimize this, but it's this big. That's what it's worth. This is what everything else is worth, and you got that going on for yourself if you're lucky. So that's all you're worth, this. So I don't know. I don't know how people live like this. I don't know how young women are not terrified of the idea of becoming ugly like their own mothers. I don't know. I don't know how people live like this and they don't stop for 2 seconds and wonder, is this how it should be? Of course, it's not how it should be. It proves that there is a problem. And if, as a grown woman, you don't have any actual value, it's not because women don't have any value when they age. It's not because women have no value once they crash into the wall. It's because there's a secret value, something hidden that no one has taught you how to cultivate or make grow, so that by the age of 30, 40, 50, 70, your actual tree, your woman tree, has become such a powerful tree. This doesn't make any sense to you because this is now foreign ancient knowledge.